Okay, night scene fireworks. Here's a little trick I've learnt for draining it. You don't have to actually use the what do you call it, the fly wire sort of thing. What you do is just leave it on there, and the excess water just soaks right down there and builds up and comes out, and then you just, once it's finished doing that trickling, you just tip it up, and the excess, any little tiny residual excess, goes straight to the bottom of the bucket, and you're ready to use it. Anyway, I've got my pot here. I've labelled it Super K Super S. I don't know, that'll probably be out of focus out there, won't it? Yeah, because I'm on night scene fireworks, so there's no macro function on this. So yeah, just to know that I'm honestly labelling these containers. Yeah, the people who watch the videos get to see the data, I suppose. That's the payment for watching the videos, isn't it? You get some of the knowledge, I suppose. But I mean, the detailed knowledge is, you know, I've spent so many years doing this. The detailed knowledge will be in the thesis sort of thing. So, and I said I want to start writing the thesis once I get the plane tickets from the ICPS that they promised. You know, once I said they sort of agree that once I got the answer, they send the plane tickets. So, you know, hopefully they're going to be honourable. Otherwise, it's I don't know, how do you write that sort of thing in a thesis, you know? You know, from an Australian point of view, hey you bloody mug, you know. I don't know, to quote Cole Elliott sort of thing. Anyway, see, that's basically finished trickling down, so you can now just sort of basically do that and see the excess gone straight to the bottom, and you can start now taking your container and putting it there, you see, like that. So this has been soaking for about, well, 6 days now, so I reckon basically a week is what you want to get it fairly saturated. Well, that reminds you, it's Monday. I've got to put the bins out. I've got to put both bins out this week, so thanks for reminding me. Okay, I don't know how you did it, fellas, but you seem to remind me then. Okay, so we'll put that in there. Looks like someone's sort of probably making a mobile phone call or something. Just sitting there idling their engine. Anyway, we'll pour this one in. Now, I'm just going to wash this spoon. As I said, I don't really need to do it this way because we're going back down the concentration pathway sort of thing. Now this is, we're going back to the nominal or the baseline or the control Super K, which has got exactly the same amount of potassium in it, but it's got the nominal amount of sulfur in it. So if we went the other way, you might be adding more sulfur to the low sulfur or the nominal sulfur formulation. See, that's why you don't want to do it that way. But you see, I've been trained to think about these things, you see. That's what they train you to think about, these things, you know, which way to go, which is the right way to go, which is the wrong way to go, and to know why. So anyway, so we put the Super K Super Sulfur formulation to one side. Now we bring in the nominal Super K formulation. And yes, it does look different, doesn't it, fellas? As I said, sometimes you just have to go through. But look at that lovely grey colour, you know, does that sort of, and look at that black colour underneath, grey and black. Does that remind you of bogs and swamps? So yeah, is this the one that's just going to grow the cyanophyta really well? But we're not going to get any, so we're going to get like good growth of cyanophyta but no growth of the CPs and related plants. As I said, I talked about that weed one that I found, which is going to make a good test control subject. So yeah, anyway, I think that's enough to get it started sort of thing. It's got quite soft over time, so anyway, we'll get our little spoon and we're going to whack in. I think I'll do the same thing again, but maybe I've learnt to move that thing a little bit further than normal so I can get some height there, so you can see me actually spooning this off. But then again, I'm on fireworks now, I believe, so We'll just sort of get this nice and level as far as we can. It's a skill, fellas, as with anything. There we go. And you know, the usual thing, whack it in there. That one came off quite nicely. So yeah, and we'll do the same again, another second spoon. So, but as you can see, the difference is you can go to 2 spoons, whereas normally if you use like a salt amendment like that, you can only use 1 spoon. It's that the difference is. So basically what we've done is we've taken salts and we've turned them into soil, and because of that we can get twice as much, which hopefully means we can get somewhere towards twice as much growth. But as I said, from that one over there with the iron, I've learned from working on the copper. You know, most people said, oh, don't touch copper, it's so deadly. But because I worked on the copper, that taught me about the molar ratios, which tell me I can actually get twice as much iron in there. Now if the iron is somehow controlling the robustness, the coloration and the growth, we might be able to get to grow our fly traps from the normal 3.25 inch size that they get in the wild, because we're tweaking it up to the 4-inch size traps. And we might be able to get this blue glaucous colour that you see in Drosera gigantea sort of thing. So yeah, so there we go, mix it all in. It's got a bit of a charcoaly green look to it now. Hopefully you're picking that up. But it'll be interesting to see what the iron one does, because I'm wondering whether it's going to go brown. May not do. We might have to actually have a little bit of aluminium in there to get it that way. But I think it's going to be exciting times over the next 1 month to 2 months, coming tissue culture jar wise and this, whether the two, we can marry the two together and end up with a very simple, very cheap, rough as guts, set and forget form of tissue culture that will not only work on CPs but work on quite a large range of related plants, or at least get you halfway there sort of thing, you know. So you know, you can grow them in a jar reasonably well, and then you can whack them, once you've multiplied them in the jars, whack them into the normal soil that they have, you know. So it's like a halfway house, you know. They don't grow that well in there, but it allows you to multiply them very easily, just with chunks of leaves, chunks of root and things like that sort of thing. You know, a guaranteed way. So you know, you get out of 10 pieces in there, you get 9 of them to strike sort of thing, because they're in nice lovely humid jars with very little variation in the internal ambience of the jar sort of thing. So anyway, looking quite grey now. I mean, compared to the normal stuff, very hard to tell. Again, you know, so I've got to get a new one of these. Again, how could you tell if the commercial places were doing something like this, and they were just using peat and doing this, you know, with their brown peat and stuff like that? Could you tell the difference? I'm probably going to put it to you that the only way you could probably tell the difference is their pots are probably festooned with liverworts and all this cyanophyta stuff growing on the surface, and you've got liverworts hanging over the edge. And then if you can actually, if you're gullible enough to believe that, then you've got to be gullible enough to say, well, how many years have you actually seen liverworts growing on commercial pots? How far has this thing been going back? I mean, I put it to you to at least the 1980s. And then back in the 1980s, they were putting out the blurb that they weren't fertilising, you know, and all this thing and all this, and it was what was it? Then we had the problem with snail eggs in the 90s and osmocotes. Was it snail eggs or was it osmocotes and things like that? So yeah, and it doesn't just seem to be an Australian phenomenon. This thing, it seems to be a worldwide phenomenon. I've been told that the Dutch people are supposed to know everything about fly traps, you know. I've been told this, and I'm thinking, well, if that is true, how come they don't grow them with 4-inch traps? You know, how come they haven't gone beyond the natural 3.25-inch size traps, which I've seen as a child. I saw over in WA them being caught by the WA quarantine place. As I said, they had this eerie look to them. It's almost like, as I said, the greener grass that had been mixed with toothpaste. It was just that odd. And I've seen pictures sort of in the wild, sort of that way. But, yeah, nothing quite exactly the same, as I would say. Anyway, there's that one done. And it's time to put the lid on, as you do. And then we'll move on to another one and maybe try a different setting on the camera. Because, you know, I know you like me to make them interesting, but I better put the coating on there first. Anyway, over and out, I'll do that. See ya.